Hey friends, today I want to talk about why losing weight can feel so hard and what you can do to make it easier. I've heard so many women say, why does this have to be so hard? I know what to do, but I just can't seem to do it. Or I do well for a little while, then I just slip back into my old habits. Maybe the weekends come or a vacation. Or I want to be healthier, but I really just feel stuck. If this sounds familiar to you, you are not alone. Today, I'm going to break it down and show you how to move forward in a way that feels manageable and realistic without getting deprived and overwhelmed. Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michelle, mama 4 and military wife, and I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. All right, so today I want to start with giving you a little background information on why change is hard. Because when we're trying to get healthy, we are creating change. We're doing something different. And change, whether that has to do with health or life, is really hard because our brain likes what is familiar. So even if something isn't that good for us, our brain prefers to do that familiar thing. It's easy. There's a strong neural network for it. So maybe you're used to eating a certain way. When you get home from work, you're used to grabbing something. Maybe you're used to moving or not moving a certain way. Maybe you always park close. Maybe you don't go for walks. Maybe you don't work out. So changing any of that would be really hard. And it's hard from a brain perspective. And just like when we react to situations in a certain way, we typically react the same way. So maybe our child says something and we might yell or we might react in a certain way. It's a neural network in our brain. So to change that pattern is hard. It's almost like we have these automatic programs running in our background. And we have to think of this when it comes to our health and we're trying to make changes. Because we need to approach it from a point of kindness and compassion and curiosity. So maybe when you're hungry, or I'll actually say maybe when you're stressed, your automatic reaction is to grab for a quick snack, a carby snack, because that's usually what our brain wants because we're going to get a hit of dopamine. So this is a pattern in your brain. So it's very hard to do something different. So when we beat ourselves up, it keeps us stuck. Maybe after dinner, you're used to always grabbing a sweet treat. That's what you've always done. So to not do that is going to be hard. You're going to feel uncomfortable. And so when we do this and we're trying to change things, change habits, patterns that we've lived by, it is hard. Because again, our brain wants to do what is familiar, that is safe to us, even if it's not the best thing for us. So that example where the person is stressed and grabbing for a snack, the safest thing for that person to do to feel better is to grab that snack because they know they're going to feel better because they get that dopamine hit. The same thing if you grab that sweet treat after dinner, the safest thing for your brain, the safest thing to make you feel good is to just grab that sweet treat. Because who knows what happens if you don't grab it and you're going to feel uncomfortable and who knows what happens. That's what goes on in the background that we're not even aware of. So of course it's going to be hard to create new habits. But the good news here is that you can retrain your brain. You can create new neural networks in your brain. And this is what I help clients do, is we try to create new thoughts. I have a process where we break down our thoughts and our feelings and our actions of what's going on, and we move that to an intentional way that we want to think, because what we're thinking is creating feelings and creating actions. And if there is an emotion that's stuck, Then I bring in my EFT, emotional freedom techniques, where we work on using a somatic, a body-based way to decrease some strong feelings that we have so we can get to a place where we want to go. It's really hard to change our thoughts and retrain our brain, but there are tools to do this with a coach, and there's also tools you can do on your own. So when I'm working with clients, not only am I coaching them in the moment, I'm giving them tools to use on their own too. I think it's always great to have some outside input. I am part of a group coaching program myself, so I can get that coaching and that input for me too. Just as a mom and a homeschooler and a person in general, a lot of times we need some extra support because our brain runs automatically and it doesn't always run the best way. And if you guys are looking for any extra support or a coach for you, I'm going to put a link down below where you can sign up for a free call to chat with me to see if we're a fit. And also I give 10% off for military teachers and frontline workers. Just mention that when we have that free call. All right, so let's dive into a couple steps that I have for you to follow today. So the first step is accept the fact that change feels uncomfortable. So uncomfortable as a feeling, but also a feeling in our body. Because we know if changing habits was easy, losing weight would be easy, having our kids pick up after themselves would be easy, any new habit would be easy, but that's really not reality. So when you start shifting habits, something that you're used to, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to have thoughts that feel uncomfortable, and you're going to have, if you pay attention, there are sensations in your body that are going to feel uncomfortable. These are not harmful, and a lot of times we feel uncomfortable sensations, and it makes us stop doing what we want to do. But when we can start to become comfortable with uncomfortable sensations in our body, when we're intentional and we know that things are safe and good for us to do, we're able to move forward. So think about the first time you learned to ride a bike, or maybe you have taught a child. There was lots of wobbling. There was probably falling. It felt really weird. But then something started to click. And now once you've learned how to ride a bike, you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about how you balance or how you pedal. You now have a strong neural network in your brain to ride a bike that you didn't have before. And it's the same thing when it comes to thoughts and when it comes to habits that we want to create. So at first, it's going to be hard to eat a certain way, to exercise in the morning, exercise after work. But if you keep going, it gets easier. Most people just give up way too soon, or they have started with something that isn't really sustainable. So instead of getting mad at yourself for struggling, because just like riding the bike, we're going to fall, we're going to wobble. When we're trying to eat a different way or trying to exercise, we're going to fall, we're going to wobble. But we don't give up. We just remind ourselves, this is part of the process. I'm learning something new and I'm going to keep moving forward. So imagine if you had that thought. What feeling would that create for you? And what action and result would you get? So number 2 is to shift to a mindset of curiosity. If we approach things with curiosity instead of frustration, we're going to get so much further. So instead of thinking, I messed up again, I have no willpower, what's wrong with me? What if instead we thought, that's interesting. Why did I eat that when I wasn't hungry? Oh yeah, I was actually just feeling really bored and I'm just used to doing that. Like what a different conversation you could have with yourself. You can clearly see that one is going to move you forward and one is going to keep you stuck. So when we approach these habits and this change as a scientist, gathering information instead of judging yourself, you're going to help yourself to move forward. So some questions you could ask yourself was, what was I feeling in that moment? That emotion, those sensations in our body. What did I really need? Did I actually need some healthy food? Did I need a break? Did I need a hug? Did I need something to relieve stress, like yoga or walking outside? And you could ask yourself, what would I do different next time? So instead of beating yourself up, you're learning from it. And when we have that calm brain and curiosity, it's going to put us in a problem-solving mode, which is going to help you to make better choices next time. The next step or thing I want you to think about is, are you preparing yourself for success? This means that we have to start to be intentional and prepare ourselves. Are you planning ahead for meals? If you know you're going out to eat, maybe could you check the menu ahead of time and make a decision in advance? Because when you're at that restaurant, when you're in that moment, you're going to be led more by your emotional brain than your cognitive thinking prefrontal cortex brain. So if you can make that decision ahead of time, it starts to take out that emotion in the moment. It may still feel a little comfortable if you're choosing something healthier, but if you've already made that decision ahead of time, you're going to have more peace and more calm with it. And like I mentioned at the beginning, are you doing things that are sustainable? So can you make small swaps instead of trying to overhaul everything? Again, if we're thinking about our brain and we want to overhaul all of our meals at once, that is so overwhelming and it's going to take so much brain power all the time. Versus maybe we're just going to start with adding more protein to breakfast or drinking more water. You can feel a sigh of relief instead of overhauling everything I'm eating and drinking. We want to start with those small, sustainable changes because we want it to feel safer to our brain and we want to make that network really strong. So for example, if that's adding protein or more protein to your breakfast, let's get that easier, just like riding a bike. Get that easier, then let's add something else on. Can you prepare yourself in advance by recognizing your triggers? So if you crave sugar at night, what can you do in advance? Is the sugar craving like you're actually hungry? Well, then can I make sure I have some protein, fiber, or a bigger dinner? Or is this just a habit? Or do I do this out of sadness or boredom? So what is that trigger? And what can I do instead when that feeling or emotion comes up? Can I journal? Can I talk to someone? Maybe if I'm so used to after dinner eating a treat, after dinner, can I just go for a walk so I'm out of the house for that normal time? But you have to prepare in advance for this. So here's another example. Let's say you get home from work exhausted and you just want to collapse on the couch. And your brain starts saying, I'll work out tomorrow. This is no big deal. This is called negotiating with yourself. I also like to work on this one with clients. But then tomorrow comes and the same thing happens again. So if this keeps happening, how can you plan for it? You're exhausted after work and you're not going to work out. Can I maybe work out in the morning or earlier in the day? A quick lunch break. Maybe could I come home in my workout clothes so I am all ready to work out? Can I have some other trigger if maybe after work is the only time I can work out so that I can do this and make it more fun? Can I blast some music or listen to a podcast to help push me past that? Can I say to myself, I'm just going to do 5 minutes and then if I want to stop, I can stop? So we have to plan ahead for it when the same things keep happening so we're not relying on the willpower in the moment. And you're starting to make choices that actually align with what you want. All right, so quick recap. Number 1, accept that change feels uncomfortable at first. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're just rewiring your brain. Number 2, be curious instead of judgmental. So when things aren't going right, be curious. Just be a scientist. We're just trying to figure this out. Number 3, plan ahead. What do you need to do in advance by making decisions, planning ahead to set yourself up for success? And know this, friends, it will get easier. So many clients that I work with, we're working on these specific small habits and it just gets easier and easier. And then they're like, oh, that's so easy. I don't have to think about it. And then we can add more on. So sometimes when it feels so hard at first, we just have to remind ourselves it will get easier. Once I stay consistent, these new habits are going to start feeling natural, just like riding a bike. So don't give up. Keep making those small changes and they will add up. And I know this process isn't always easy to do alone. I gave you a great outline in this episode for you to be able to sort of self-coach yourself. But this is also why I offer coaching, so that you don't have to figure it out all by yourself, or especially if you're getting stuck or doing the same loops with nutrition or exercise, we can start to break that down and figure out how to move you forward. So check the description down below to set up a free call with me. We'll go over your goals, see where you're struggling. And if we have time, I usually like to think of at least one habit or something that you can start to work on and move forward, whether you decide to work with me or not. So feel free to set up that free call, and I got that 10% discount for teachers, military, and frontline workers. And it's a 10% continuous discount for the whole time we work together. All right, friends, you got this, and just reach out if you need support. So many people keep waiting and waiting to get extra support. So if that's you, don't let it be you. Reach out and let's get moving forward. All right, have a great week, friends.